Welcome, dear students. Our current session focuses on expansion of vocabulary with particular focus on affixations. I hope by the end of this session you would be able to understand what is the nature of affixations in English language and what kind of affixations are used today. Well, my dear students, a large number of loan words have entered the English language through the times, especially when we focus on the early modern English and modern English period. We would notice that with the changing socio-political conditions and with the changing cultural contexts and the spread of English, a lot of new words have been coined and made through affixations. Words continue to be coined from existing English language materials by traditional methods. There are certain methods that are used for that. If you look at the slide, you would find certain methods that are pointed out, which include affixation, compounding, and conversion. However, in the current session, we would particularly focus on affixations and how they are used. Actually, affixations are one of the commonest methods that are used for creating new words or for coining new words. Most of the words thus formed are nouns or adjectives. In fact, most of them are nouns. After that, we would find the frequency that is of adjectives. However, some adverbs and rarely verbs are also created or coined through affixations. The ability to add affixes makes English extremely flexible, and actually it has added a lot to the fund of vocabulary of English. We can have prefixes and suffixes both. I am sure you know what is a prefix and what is a suffix. Just to remind, a prefix is something that is added to the beginning of a word or the root to create new words, whereas suffix is added something at the end of a word or a root to create a new word. If you look at the screen, you would see there are certain examples of prefixes that are used in English very frequently. For example, com, con, de, ex, inter, pre, pro. So, by adding all of these at the beginning of a root word, new words can be created and thus vocabulary can be increased, and also from one part of speech a shift to another part of speech can be made. So for example, from language to interlanguage, from lingual to bilingual, from medical to pre-medical. So, expected to unexpected. This is how by using these prefixes new words are created. In the same way, suffixes are used. Suffixes, as I have said earlier, are added at the end of a root to create new words. A lot of suffixes are used very frequently in English language, and here are some of the most frequently used ones that are given here. If you notice, al, ens, ment. For example, movement, ness, mad, madness, ship, citizen, citizenship. In the same way, shun, ate, ed, is, able, and many more you can see on the slide that are used very frequently. In fact, affixation is a very, very simple way to completely alter or subtly revise or change the meaning of an existing word and to create other parts of speech out of that. Another important thing about the use of affixes in English is that the rules are very simple. In fact, the set of rules is very, very limited, and they can be added very, very freely. So, Anglo-Saxon fixes can be attached to Latin or Greek roots or vice versa, which means you can take an Anglo-Saxon word or a root and you can add a prefix or a suffix that comes from Latin or Greek language, or the root word can be from Latin language or Greek language, and something that you add at the beginning or at the end as a prefix or a suffix can come from Anglo-Saxon language. Here I am presenting an example to make it clear how this is a very, very productive process. The example is of the word incomprehensibility. If you notice the word here, hence, actually, is a word from Indo-European root, and this simple root, which comes from this yen, meaning to grasp or seize, from the Anglo-Saxon background, this is added, and in fact, if you notice, 5 affixes are used. In means not. Com means with. Pre means before. Able means capable. Ity means being. So, incomprehensibility is a word that is created by adding so many suffixes and prefixes. A sheer variety and number of possible affixes in English can lead to some confusion sometimes as well. And in fact, through the modern English times, we can see that a lot of new words are created in a very, very creative way. There is no single standard method. For example, for an adjective, there can be no formula. An adjective can be formed from a noun by using able, al, os, a, etc. And we would find no particular rule as such for that. Some affix additions are surprisingly very, very recent. So, for example, notice this word, officialdom, or notice the word boredom. These are very, very new words. It is only in the 20th century that they are created. There are many more examples. Notice the word political, from which apolitical is made. That was only in 1952 when it was used for the first time. Adding affixes remains the simplest and perhaps the commonest method of creating new words in English language, and it has particularly played a very important role in expanding the vocabulary of English during the modern English times.